Totally cooperating. Just relax. Not doing anything without cooperating. Sir, I will be very cooperative. All right, let's try that, please.
Look, man. Where's that? I don't know where that is. Yes, you do.
28 years ago, this man kidnapped a woman and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Nearly 3 decades later, 80-year-old Edna Suttles was seen picking him up from a parking lot. That would be the last time anyone ever saw Edna alive. A few days later, detectives traced her movements and spotted security footage of the same man driving her car.
She's missing right now.
Yes, Dan, where is Edna?
I don't have a clue.
But soon, police realized Edna wasn't his only victim.
If you tell him to turn that off, I will talk to you a little more freely.
Around 9 a.m. on August 27th, 80-year-old Edna left her home in Travelers Rest to check on a friend. A few hours later, 911 received a worrying call.
Greenville County 911, what's your emergency? A sitter was supposed to show up to be with my mom today. Her name is Edna Suttles, and she didn't show up. This is not like her. She shows up like clockwork, so something's wrong.
But that call was just the start of a series of chilling events. When officers showed up at Edna Suttles' home to do a welfare check, no one answered. There were no signs of forced entry, but Edna was missing. And when they spoke to her son, he told them that about $50,000 worth of jewelry had disappeared from the house. Even more important than the missing jewelry was Edna's missing car. If they could find it, maybe they could figure out where she went. Tracking the vehicle became the key to unlocking the mystery. 6 days later, Edna's car turned up in a hotel parking lot in Travelers Rest. This was strange since Edna lived nearby and had no reason to stay at a hotel. Staff also confirmed that no one under Edna's name had checked in. To learn what happened, police decided to follow her steps. Cameras near her house showed her leaving around 9:30 a.m. and driving towards a local Food Lion grocery store. 9 minutes later, Edna reached the store. A man with 2 bags in his hand approached her car and got in. Then, Edna drove away. About 4 hours later, at 1:43 p.m., her car was seen leaving her home again and arriving at the same grocery store. But this time, it wasn't Edna behind the wheel. It was the same older white man she had picked up earlier. He quickly walked over to his own car and parked next to Edna's. He then pulled something out of her car and placed it into his own. At first, it wasn't clear what he had moved from the Jeep to the Chevrolet, but after slowing the footage down, officers made a disturbing discovery. It wasn't something, it was someone. The camera clearly showed the golden hair of Edna Suttles. Just 4 minutes later, at 1:47 p.m., the man drove Edna's car to the hotel parking lot where it was later found. He wiped down the doors and seats, trying to remove any evidence. By 2:14 p.m., he was back at the Food Lion, got in his car, and drove away. That was the last time either of them were seen. Now, the main task was identifying the man in the video, but the footage was grainy, and he never got close enough to the cameras to get a clear look. It seemed like the case might hit a dead end. But then, detectives had a breakthrough. Since he was seen leaving the store with bags, he must have bought something. They quickly pulled the store's internal camera footage. What they found was chilling. The man was Daniel Printz, who had already been to federal prison for kidnapping a woman back in '97, 24 years before Edna vanished. In Michigan, he tied up and shackled the woman, but she managed to escape. Even though he had been sentenced to 30 years, he was released on parole by 2009. But things only got worse from there. Daniel started working as a handyman, mostly for elderly women living alone, the same type of person he had targeted before. Even with his criminal past, police didn't yet have enough to charge him with kidnapping or murder, but they did have probable cause for grand larceny involving Edna's missing Jeep. This allowed them to get a warrant to arrest Printz and search his home.
Totally cooperating. Just relax. Not doing anything without cooperating. All right, let's go. Stand up on your feet. Right there. Yeah. Sir, I will be very cooperative.
Even as a team of heavily armed officers arrived at his property, Printz stayed calm. Too calm, almost like he had a plan. At first, detectives acted friendly to make him feel comfortable. They didn't let on that they had caught him on video.
What do you do now?
I do a lot of home remodeling, home repairs. I lay a lot of tile, and I got a customer base that has me doing stuff.
Okay, so why Boston, North Carolina, come all the way down from, say, Michigan or Wisconsin?
Okay, here, this is real easy. I'm originally from the east side of the state of Michigan, but I was in prison in Michigan for a while, and when I paroled to the west side of the state.
Okay. What'd you get locked up for? Because you said you got paroled.
I was locked up for a kidnapping charge.
Okay.
And I did 13 and a half years for that.
Oh, wow.
I did 1.5 years for a false statement on a vehicle title. You know, when they're not sure if they're going to make something, they want something to hold you with. So the false statement, that's all that was. The kidnapping, I was doing some bad shit that I shouldn't have been doing.
Fair enough.
But I shouldn't have gotten kidnapping, but I was doing some bad shit.
What kind of shit? What shit have you gotten?
I really don't want to say.
We're just bullshitting.
No,
We're just bullshitting.
Nothing when you're talking to two police detectives in a room. It's just bullshit. Okay, I've been through the system enough to know that. Yeah. All I'm going to say about that is I did my time. I made my first parole, and I haven't been in trouble since.
Hey, and that's great to know. You know, a lot of people, especially being what you've been through, they come out and they go right back to it.
Just because he had a criminal record didn't automatically mean he was behind Edna's disappearance. But the proof detectives had told a completely different story from the image of a hardworking, changed man that he was trying to present.
I'll talk to you about August 27th, 2021 of this year.
What day of the week was that?
Oh, it was a Friday.
Okay.
Okay, so specifically the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
What, 2 weeks ago? Do you remember where you were at?
Not specifically.
Where do you think you were at?
I've been going all over the place. I've been back and forth to Charlotte. I've been down to South Carolina.
Like, where's your jobs in South Carolina taking you?
Actually, I was down to Traveler's Rest, but I don't know if it was Friday or Thursday. I know I'd been there earlier that week.
But you don't remember which day specifically?
No, it was either Thursday or Friday.
What kind of job were you working on?
I wasn't.
You wasn't?
I wasn't. This lady had talked to me several times. I'd been down to her house 2 or 3 times. We kind of got to be friends. This woman has so many damn problems, mostly her daughter. She would call me and have me come down there.
Okay.
She said she needed to have money at one point in time to help her daughter because her daughter was in jail. Then she needed money another time because she was hiring a private investigator. Because her son-in-law she talked to me all kinds of stuff about it. We got to be pretty good friends about stuff like that.
Okay. How'd you meet her initially?
Years ago.
Okay.
Years ago, it was somebody giving me her name or number, or my name and number.
Here, the detectives were watching how Printz acted, giving him space to dig himself into a corner he couldn't easily get out of. And once they showed their cards, Printz did what they expected. He denied everything, even when the proof was right there.
What you're telling us is that's not you on the 27th? Food Line parking lot, Traveler's Rest?
I don't think so.
That's not you?
That's me. Where's that?
Food Line, August 27th, 2021, 9:23.
Okay.
22 seconds. Ringing a bell?
Yep. Yeah, I went down to Food Line. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you doing down there that day?
She wanted me to look at some stuff at her house.
Okay.
And she picked me up at Food Line because she wanted me with her when she was gonna go meet some guy for private investigator.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about that.
She wanted me to meet her down there.
Okay.
She was nervous because she says, I'm not sure I trust this guy. And she knows I've been in the military. And she says, will you meet me? She wanted me to see if this guy was going to meet her where he was supposed to meet her.
Do you know where?
There was a hotel lobby that he had finally said, meet me at the hotel.
Okay.
She says, drive up there and see if he's there. And I drove up there, and things are starting to sound really squirrely to me.
This kind of behavior is common. Printz wasn't just trying to avoid blame, he was also trying to shift it onto someone else. This time, he pointed the finger at a private investigator. According to Printz, Edna was planning to meet with the investigator the day before she was reported missing, though she was too scared to go alone. But fortunately, detectives had already reviewed the security footage, and everything Printz said turned out to be completely false.
What were you driving?
I was driving a blue car.
Your wife's car or your car?
My wife's car.
So that's y'all coming down 25, you and her together?
It could be.
Okay, 'cause that's her car. That's about 13:45 on the 27th.
Okay.
So you're with her there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not saying yeah. I'm just saying that could be
Yeah,
her.
it's a different angle. I mean, we've watched this car, right?
Okay.
Here's y'all in the hotel parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah? Oh, look. There's y'all backing in.
Yeah.
And a couple of different copies of it. Backing in.
Yeah.
Oh, look. You get out. Nobody else gets out.
I told you that.
You're walking around the car.
Yeah.
You wipe the entire car down.
Because I was worried.
You were worried. There's you walking across the parking lot in front of Little Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
And there's you getting back into your car and driving away.
Oh, she's with me.
Look, man, you are a good dude. I honestly do believe that you screwed up years and years ago.
Printz looked shocked as they started showing him the images. Even though the evidence was clear, he kept trying to talk his way out of it. But police had more than just photos. There was fresh mud on the tires of his car, suggesting he'd been off-roading, maybe to dump a body. At this point, his story began to unravel.
Dude, not a bad guy.
Right.
Nobody is saying that you're some evil, twisted dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We need to know where it is. We've processed the car. We found the dirt. Where did you go off-road?
I never went.
Where did you leave?
Oh, I can tell you exactly where she and I had gone off road.
Please.
When we were going from 25 south, there was off to the right. There was a truck with a trailer and another vehicle there that had a for sale sign on it. And it looked like an older truck. And I needed a work truck. And I went ahead and I pulled in and with her. And then we pulled out. And it was right there on 25.
Even with all the proof stacking up, Printz kept denying everything. He even tried taking control of the conversation, but the detectives were closing in, and it was getting harder for him to stay calm.
Where's right now? Her family is desperately looking for her.
She's missing right now.
Yes, Dan, where is Edna?
I don't have a clue.
Yes,
I dropped her off at her house.
Dan, please listen. You did not drop her off at her house. We have followed that car the entire day up and down 25.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of minutes that are unaccounted for that are not by her house.
Which car? Mine or hers?
Dan, stop playing games. You know what we're
When I
talking
got,
about.
okay, I can help you here.
Okay.
You gotta give me a second. You gotta let me answer the questions when they're asked. When I dropped her vehicle off looking for the guy, she said she wanted me to take her and drive around in my vehicle. So I left her vehicle. I went down to Food Lion and she was in my vehicle with me. And I dropped her off at home.
Dan, we watched the video. She is not.
The car sits there.
It sits there, man.
No, not in her car.
Never.
My car.
We
I
watched you
dropped
go
her
back
off
to
in
Food
my
Lion.
car.
You did not drop anyone off, man.
I picked her back up. She sat in my car at Food Lion and I went back and got her.
No, you did not.
The pressure was mounting. The detectives knew he was lying, and he knew it too. He even tried to downplay destroying evidence. Then he suggested Edna might have been in some kind of trouble, shifting the blame again.
I don't know where Edna is.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Dan.
Let's go back to why you wiped the car down. What you said you were worried about what?
The only thing I did was because I knew I'd been in and out of her car all the time with her. I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm going to just leave this thing here because she's got somebody that's after her.
But detectives weren't fooled.
Who would be after her?
Who's after her?
That guy with the truck, she said she didn't trust him.
The PI?
Yeah, that's somebody she hired as a PI.
His story's totally different. He's been doing work for her. I mean, on the son-in-law thing. We've interviewed. He had no, he didn't meet Thursday. So that's
Right, that's why I said, she hired another PI. I'm sure you're recording this.
It's not making sense. I mean, you're the last person to be in a vehicle you wiped out of a lady that's missing.
That sounds really fucked up.
It does. That's why we're here.
I've been real honest with you guys. I told you what was going on.
They got Printz to admit he was with Edna on the day she disappeared. He claimed he was just helping her meet that private investigator, but they knew it was a desperate move to cover himself. Printz said he dropped her off at home, safe and sound, but the evidence showed otherwise. He was the last person seen with her, and with this interrogation, they caught him in a lie that would eventually lead to a horrifying confession. During a search of his property, officers found multiple illegal guns. With his criminal history, this meant federal charges and more time behind bars. While he was being held, they searched further and found something important, a yogurt cup. It was the same yogurt he bought before Edna disappeared, and tests revealed it had been mixed with a drug cocktail, lorazepam, tramadol, and cyclobenzaprine. This combination can slow down the nervous system, making the person drowsy or unconscious. It explained why Edna was so unresponsive in the security footage. After eating the drugged yogurt, she had no way to defend herself. She was completely under Printz's control, taken away to be killed. Now that Printz knew there was no escape, police brought him in for another round of questioning. This time he confessed, not just to killing Edna, but also to 3 more murders: Lee Goodman, Dolores Sellers, and her daughter, Nancy Rigo. The first was Dolores. Printz claimed he helped end her life at Nancy's request, but Nancy later changed her mind and wanted to call the police. That made her Printz's second victim. Even after all this, Printz tried to use his crimes to gain an advantage.
There was quite a lot of stuff found in your V house. There could be a million explanations for some of that stuff, and I don't want to jump to conclusions. And if there's something that happened that you didn't intend to happen, let's talk about it.
There are things that have to happen, and there are things that are going to happen. And I'm a realist, and I have acceptance with this. I would like a little bit of control in how they happen. If you tell them to turn that off, I will talk to you a little more freely.
After the cameras were turned off, he made one last move to get something in return. He agreed to show police where Edna's body was buried, but only if his case went federal, where prisons have better conditions. He also managed to avoid the death penalty by making this deal, and was instead sentenced to life behind bars. Some may think detectives were foolish to shut the cameras off and not record his confession, but what Printz didn't know was that they had a hidden backup audio recorder still running. But before that, it takes a lot of hard work to bring you these chilling cases. Please consider hitting that subscribe button to stay updated with new cases.
Okay, let's put it this way. A person I was very good friends with wanted to do something to put someone basically out of their misery that was very closely related to them. That's one body. That person started having an extreme amount of guilt over this and decided they were going to go tell what had happened. That's the second body. There's a third body that I did not kill, and I knew that they'd be getting Social Security disability for the rest of their life. So I got rid of said bodies, for example, so that I could continue to use the card.
By any chance, while he's getting all this squared away, can you just help me get that closure for Edna's family?
Not until I have this. I clam up like a clam if this doesn't go federal for everything.